Oh,
Uh-oh. Whoops, you got us. We were chatting on screen. I remembered to mute my microphone and I forgot to mute the desktop. But hey, we're back. We've got the wonderful and talented Liam here, our wonderful store board crest. To hang out. And Nate in the
hello.
chat. It's Liam. Oh, and Little Miss Fodder, to answer your question from earlier, yes, we will keep that question in rotation for future weeks as we get other people to come in. But anyway, hey, Liam, what's up?
Not a whole lot right now. I got a haircut today, so that's nice. Actually, that's feels good.
Yeah, you get all light.
Yeah,
You can run your fingers through, and then it ends sooner than you remember.
yeah. The top's still long, but the sides are trimmed up now.
Gotcha. Yeah. So how is Store feeling right now? Is the other question.
Uh, One, Stor is thrilled to have his horse. Stor has been looking forward to this horse. Uh, okay, Stor hasn't been looking for this. I've been looking forward to this spell. It's the reason I play Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
Hold yeah. Uh,
Sorry, I'm just adding the background music in. Sorry, everybody. There you go,
um,
background music.
yeah. Um, yeah, stores. Store is Store's always a little optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but yeah, Store's enjoying the adventure. Not sure there's a uh, um, what's the word here? Not sure what's going to happen, but Store is ready for it. It's been fun. It's definitely for Store. It's been a really different. How's it been like even a week of
I
like in game
believe
time?
that it has been one full week. Let me pull up because I keep track of what day it is. So the campaign started on October the 25th. It is now the afternoon of the 31st. So it has not been a full week, it's been 6 days.
Yeah, so this has been like the wildest, least regimented 6 days of Store's life.
Yeah.
Especially coming from Store's background being very, very military. This is very different from what he's used to. So he has no plans at all ever.
Not the most organized dude.
Oh.
Which I think to be in the military, you don't really need to be very organized because you're typically told what to do when someone is organized
Yeah,
for you.
yeah. Store is no one is telling him where to go and what to do, and it's new and fun, and he's made great friends.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
beyond like currently it's find Malello, kill or detain Malello, and then after that is just nothingness?
yeah. Store doesn't have a super long term plan with goals. It it's more trying to find, and I'm sure like without going into a lot of the questions that'll come up, it's trying to find what he was sort of promised when he joined the military, and that was that adventure and that being that hero. So Store's continually looking for that chance to be that like bigger hero and just the person who turns the tide of any battle, um,
Mm.
and sends enemies running. Um, so yeah, it's why I like Cord as the Oath of Conquest god for Store, because it's less like fear and like a little bit away from that Hell Knight that
Right.
the Xanathar's guide suggests, and more to that like I'm just gonna win.
Yeah,
and
which
you're going to know I'm gonna win.
yeah, and I feel like that's more the typical paladin. I've always had a little bit of trouble looking through the paladin oaths because it's like the oath of vengeance, and it's this very like grim, very like you killed my father, prepare to die, like sort of thing, or the oath of redemption, where it's like, oh, I used to be such a bad person. It's like, what about those guys who just want to go be paladin? You know, that's very
Yeah,
straightforward. Like, I just want to go kill bad things and be a good guy, and not any of them
you
are
you
very
have
like that.
you have the oath of devotion. I've I look.
Uh-oh, we lost you for a second.
It's like class. It's very fun. You have the oh,
You're good. You're good now.
Emma, can you hear me again?
Yeah.
Yeah. You have the oath of devotion, which is that like stereotype paladin. The like it's way holier, like a paladin of Bahamut kind.
Lawful stupid.
Yeah. And then you have the there's two others that I think are kind of interesting. There's the Oath of the Crown, which is like Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide.
Yeah, which is like you serve a specific person.
Yeah, which like there's a lot to play with. I really I don't personally like when I DM. I don't like the alignment system. I don't think it's.
I don't stick to it too much either, as you may have noticed.
I'd rather characters have bonds, ideals, and flaws, like personality traits that they follow, than the I'm a lawful good character. I follow the law and I do good things.
Yeah, because there's always going to be situations where you follow the law, and then there's going to be times where you kind of don't. That's actually one of the questions that I have in here. I don't remember exactly which one it is. There we go. It's from me, actually. Stor doesn't seem like a chaotic person, and being a member of the army, one might assume he has a respect of the law. What were his thoughts leaving Ruby with Thorak to torture and murder Tristan in his own basement?
Yeah. Stor was less on board with the torture part of it. Stor is very much dispense the king's justice, the crown's justice. I think it's a queen.
It's a queen, yes.
Yeah. I said crown because I didn't know and I didn't have time to look at my notes. But Stor was very much just a swift swing of the sword, and his head will be on the floor, and we can walk away from that. Not very torture for a means. Maybe you can get Stor on board with that. Torture for torture he's gonna go up and.
Mm-hmm. But were you tempted at all to try and stop it? Or you just, I don't want to be part of it, go ahead and do what you want, I guess?
A little on the torture. I think that I'm having a brain fart. I think that at that point it was late. Stor's like, this is darker. Stor's gonna step aside. Mm-hmm. I think if it becomes a recurring theme, Stor will. No, we don't torture people to torture people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hopefully that won't be a recurring thing, as Ruby is not part of your party.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
in some hospital somewhere now, recovering from a couple months of torture and all that. Yeah, I hadn't expected that to happen. I just had written her as a much more, like, she's the first one. She's been there the longest. She's been there for like 2-3 months, and it's awful, right? And she's not from a nice place. She's not from a place where they're forgiving or nice people. And her family is actually fairly important where she's from, and so she views these attacks as like a slight on her honor almost, and so she wanted to kind of pay it back. So I didn't plan on her doing that, but when you guys were like, do you want to just kill him? She's like, oh, I'll do you one better.
Yeah, that's, I guess, like, when Stor suggested it, it wasn't like, oh, we'll torture them and this will be that. It's he just sort of, it happened. It was a chaotic night, and there were, well, Stor doesn't know them as displacer beasts, but they were definitely
Yes, definitely displacer beasts.
Which I did not realize they hit that hard.
I love displacer beasts. It's like displacer beasts and hags are like those things that I love to just pull out in those early levels of just like, and these are around, these are a thing. So
Yeah,
it's great.
uh, I will throw things that swallow things when my party gets too. That's the mechanic that I like to introduce when they're like,
swallowing.
oh, yes, this creature won't hurt you a lot, but all of a sudden it just poop and you're gone. Is a
Now you're giving me ideas.
scary.
This is the issue. Is you give the DM ideas. In the I don't know if you were watching the earlier rehash for Ready to Roll, because our dungeon master was in the chat and we were talking about things. And we're like, oh shoot, we can't give him evil ideas. Oh man! All right,
Yeah,
let's go to another question. We've got here. So this is one kind of more of the backstory of Stor in the Jahir. This is from Bango Bongo. Kind of for both of us. What is the current relationship of Stor and the Jahir? And I guess also who are the Jahir? So I guess I'll go first. The Jahir are basically the army of Idrion. So you have the Cerulean Guard, which are those typical like town guard kind of policemen, the watchmen that kind of keep track of the general peace in the towns themselves. The Jahir is the standing army, but they haven't really had anything to do for the past couple of centuries. So what they mostly do now is they do a lot of training, and then they are the ones typically sent out like, oh man, there's a whole bunch of like dire bears that are being a problem around this city. Then they're the ones who go out and like take care of those problems, but they don't really do a ton right now. And that's kind of turned into a little bit of a discipline problem, as they are just they turn into bullies really easily because they want to be these like super strong dudes, and then they don't have much to do, so they get bored and they get mean. So that's what the Jahir are. What is Stor's relationship with the Jahir right now? However much you care to share.
Yeah, I think like officially Stor's on like a bit of a sabbatical for them as he's following Cord and figuring that out, which is which we worked out before the campaign, but it's something that they allow, especially for like Cord, because you know what, at the end of the day, Stor hasn't left the Jahir, and if like war were declared, Stor would, in theory, show up and fight alongside everyone you trained with. I really hope there's not a massive continent-wide war. Although I think that'd be an interesting, like, there'd be a lot of role-playing in that, which I think would be pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But we're not getting that. So that's Stor's official, like, you're not in the Jahir, but you're not out of the Jahir.
You're reserved.
Kind of like, yeah, reserve, we don't really need you, and you can go and do stuff. As for Stor's personal relationship with them, I'm gonna not try to get into stuff, but like, given Stor's like family and how he grew up, the Jahir were like, this should have been Stor achieving like his dream, and him feeling sort of empty after that is sort of what drove him out of his regular life and towards adventure. In that, yeah, you're supposed to be this like great warrior who does all this stuff, and you're kind of a bully, kind of picking out smaller threats, and on top of that, like, it wasn't an easy life, especially given Stor's posting. So it's not like it was sitting pretty and like going on the couple combat. Like, Stor was working hard, and there was not a lot of reward for that. And then Stor found Cord, and that was a way to, personally for Stor, challenge himself. And hey, maybe this is what you're really looking for. yeah, that's sort of personally what brought Stor to where he is, without giving
That's
a
cool.
huge amount of his backstory away.
Yeah, yeah. This is also very helpful for me, I'm realizing, because,
Yeah.
I'm getting more of like y'all's thoughts about like where things are and like your reasonings for saying things. So now I know kind of more how to poke at these things a little bit. Um,
No.
because I just like to torture everybody, and so it's nice to know
Oh yeah,
what
it's
all
fun.
my tools are for this. Let's go to
What is
question.
the DM other than the friend that tortures their friends?
I'm just the mean one in the group. All right. So what is this? Kind of goes in with the chord stuff as well. This is a question from me. What does Stor think of traveling with Keldra, who also appears to be some sort of follower of chord?
Uh, I have marked Keldra like multiple times in my notes
Uh-huh.
as someone who's just like seen. Stor hasn't. I don't think Stor has talked to Keldra more than like a few words in the couple council meetings. Um, Stor's really interested. It's a very different worshiper of Chord to what he's used to. He's full armor, swords, and like that's sort of where he came from. And the people who prayed to Chord were like that. Um, so it's very interesting. I really hope we get time for Stor and Keldra to talk about Chord. I think having Vigris around as well, who is literally like a horse from Chord, um, will also be like an interesting dynamic there. I don't know what type of worshiper of Chord that
Mm-hmm.
Keldra is too, like because obviously paladins have their own abilities, and
Yeah.
Stor's gonna find out what that is.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about her a bit today because so Keldra is actually a character that I played uh, something like a year ago. Our old dungeon master, he had a group that he ran weekly, and he would occasionally ask people to come in and play, just like help out with some big fight or whatever. And so Keldra was someone that I created as a one-off character to play, and at that point we were like level 12, I think I had to make, or maybe level 15. So I had to like re like level her down when I was making her character sheet yesterday, and I was just thinking about who she was and all of these things. So there definitely has been a lot of thought that I've put into um, her thoughts on that, and she's definitely got a lot of like questions for you and stuff, or I guess for Stor, not for Liam, for
Yeah.
Stor. She doesn't know who Liam is. Um, but yeah, so Keldra she's one of my faves because she is one of mine, one of my like real ones.
She's pretty cool. The whole like back tattoo. That's
Mm-hmm.
that's. I also yeah, it's great. I love the fact that D&D has actually brought in like magical tattoos
Mm-hmm.
too. Those are fun magic items.
The pack tattoo. I think it's so funny though that like your party, the two people that you're bringing with you guys is like two people that are very specifically, well, Lycum is a whole different thing. Lycum and
Yeah.
Thorak is a whole completely different and separate thing to Keldra and Stor. At least I assume so. And that's what I'm going to be working off of.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I think it's funny that that's kind of how it ended up. Of like, because I was thinking like, okay, so they, the council's very concerned about this stuff because it could be very problematic for the area. So who are they going to send to get it fixed? And it's like, well, these are the two who would volunteer to go, and they don't really have a strike team aside from you guys, basically. The what is it? The we haven't talked about the group name on stream, so I won't say it. I'll let
Nah,
you guys
yeah,
know.
we won't say it until it comes up in stream.
But yeah, I think that's going to be a very interesting dynamic, and I especially with some stuff that is coming up, it's gonna be interesting. Well, I'm just gonna say that I'm very
Yeah,
excited to see how it goes.
it is just. I mean, I guess this could wait until Monday, but Stor's the only one with like a horse, right?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
I think Denono can technically turn into a horse at this point for like an hour or two at a time.
Yeah, and Nay has that's the best use of tiny
That
servant.
tiny chair's
I had that spell for the purple on one shot. I'm like, this seems really fun to have for a Fey one shot where I can just be like, boop, you're alive now. I never thought to use it as a mount.
It's so perfect. A little halfling mount. It
Yeah.
gave me some Beauty and the Beast flashbacks, like hardcore. I'm just
I was picturing that little dog, the footstool, but with like just a chair at the back.
But yeah, so like you ride Vigris, Denono turns into a horse, and Thorak rides him, and then Elias has his chair, and then the girls will just, screw them. They'll figure something out. They'll just do something else.
I think the reality is we're at like a walking pace for this travel.
Probably. That's not so bad.
Yeah, and until we can buy horses. Could we have just asked for horses? I guess we couldn't have,
we could have asked, but...
Yeah. I don't know how... I guess I would make renting a ship more expensive, because that's the next point with Vigris. I'm wondering, after getting him out of the hotel room, which I did not think... I didn't think about. I'm like, okay, I'll just cast a spell the night before, and I'll wake up in the morning, and a horse will be downstairs. I never thought the horse was going to come into my room.
Right then.
Don't know why. Yeah. Oh, good. That was a great moment.
It was a great, literal interpretation of, it could have just been like that. Of just, it's Christmas morning,
Yeah.
you walk downstairs, and your horse is down by the Christmas tree. But I was just like, no, it's going to happen right then. It's gonna be right in the room. It's gonna cause some problems. We're all Critical Role fans in our group, and I love it and stuff. And there's some very serious moments that I really like to have and stuff. But I do think we sometimes drift more into that comedy Dimension 20 sort of genre. Where we're just it's just weird.
Yeah.
It's great.
We have no cleric. We've the healers are I guess everyone can kind of heal.
Yeah.
Because the paladin, I pretty much continually keep cure wounds up, but it's really hard given the paladin spells and how a paladin is working. Stor's at the front line, he's not going to run back and heal someone because that it gives ground, and those smite slots are very valuable.
And they do a lot, yeah.
Yeah. But I keep it prepared just in case.
Mm-hmm.
Although walking into the middle of that room and not checking for a second Displacer Beast first was real dumb. Because I gave up 4 attacks with advantage.
Yeah, and you went unconscious, what was it, 3 times during the whole fight? Yeah. And it's not getting better with the 2 girls with you. You have 2 more frontline people. You got 3 paladins. And then Lycum is, she's a barbarian, so it's just, she's not going to help with healing at all.
How many paladins before it officially becomes a crusade, though?
Well, that depends on what you're aiming for, what you're trying to get. So.
Yeah. I think a religion would need to be this is a crusade now. My history lessons serve me well.
Yeah. Aaron says 7 paladins. It needs to be 7 paladins.
7, okay.
All right, well then I'll start making stat blocks for other paladins. And I'll just scatter them throughout the world, and you can just pick them up as you go. Performance check. The search for the check to make a crusade. All right, let's go to our next question. This might be our final one. This is from D&D Beauty. Liam, does Stor consider himself the leader of the group since Kaz left, or is he just keeping them in line?
It is very much just keeping them in line. Stor is doesn't consider himself a leader yet. Wouldn't say. How do I phrase this? Because I've definitely thought about Stor as that leader. He's loaded. The only charisma skill he doesn't have is deception.
Okay.
He is strong and charismatic, and that's about it. um, to say Stor is a leader, like considers himself a leader of this group now, though I don't agree with really. I think Stor is sort of, at least how I viewed it, is sort of reacting to what's happening around him. See Elias deciding he's going to walk into the changing room. Just, oh, crap.
Which is funny considering
So-
you have like one of the lowest wisdom scores of the party, I think.
Yeah.
It's Denono by a mile in terms of
Oh.
wisdom.
Yeah. Spellcasters.
We lost you there for a second.
But yeah,
You
no,
can say that
Stor.
again.
Oh, yeah, no, I just forgot druids were wisdom spellcasters. But yeah, Stor really. Stor would have a long way to go to be that leader. I'm not saying Stor won't move that way.
Mhm.
There are definitely some feats Stor could take that would be useful.
Uh-huh. I think it would
yeah,
be
so-
interesting to ask the question to the rest of the party: who do you think is the leader? Because on Monday night, maybe was it? I think maybe it was Tuesday. We were like, Nick and I were talking, and he was saying Denono definitely considers, or at least Nick definitely considers Stor the leader. And I think that was more from like Denono's perspective. Which, I mean, Denono is like a fish out of water. You know, grew up in the woods, and now there's people around. So if there's anyone who's a leader, it's not going to be him because he's going to be like watching from the background. But let's see.
Yeah, I think in terms of leadership, sort of the last-ish thing I'll say on it is Stor is actually, like, he served in the military. He knows what giving and receiving orders are.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of just kind of just, okay, no, we need someone doing something. If there isn't a leader, there needs to be one. Because that is a fairly, like, military mindset.
Right.
Yeah, so if I never considered Stor the leader.
I've never been a big fan of
Yes.
having like a designated leader of a D&D party because like you know, you don't want to stray away from like the main character thing. You don't want to take away people's agency. So seeing Aaron
think...
and Nay answering in chat, it seems like they're both like, nah, it seems like Stor is one with experience, but he's not the leader. So
I'd say that Stor is the public-facing member of
the face of the party.
yeah, the face of the party. Yeah.
Yeah, because you see, every group kind of has that, like, okay, you're gonna talk because you have, like, a lot of times it's the person with the noble background, or like there's someone with that reason, like, yeah, you're gonna lead this social encounter, and the face is just that default. We don't know who. High charisma.
Yeah, because, you know, Aaron, his character's got really high charisma as well, you both being paladins, but I feel like Thorak ends up being more of, like, the deceptive information pulling one, where, like, Stor is the one who'd be like, excuse me, we're looking for some information, could you please tell us? And Thorak would sit next to someone with, like, a beer and just be like, hey, I heard a crazy story, can you tell, like, going about it, like, a little bit more around the side, which... those things are both incredibly useful in their moments. It's very fun to see them both work together. Like, especially in the casino, you were both kind of doing that. You both got some information.
I am very much enjoying the Thorax Stor, like, back and forth, especially Thorak being a paladin and a warlock for one god. That's really... Hey, can I have a horse too?
Yeah. Oh man. Does Stor buy the Moradin thing?
I definitely have it noted because Stor has I'm a paladin of Cord, very new to this stuff, or fairly new to this stuff. Trying to, like, get a sense for what the other gods are, like the Stor has no idea what like the demon lord, because I know we've got that one, the Prince of Beasts. So Stor definitely, like, I have it in my notes from the first session asking about Thorax God. How readily Stor remembers that is another question entirely.
And how quickly it turns too, because like we said, it's only been 6 days, and the Torm thing happened a couple of days ago already, where like he switched and started saying Moradin. So after like a month or something, how much?
Yeah, and it was only like 1 day of Torm, maybe
that he ever
like
talked about.
I think we had that one talk like the night after all the animal.
We lost you for a sec.
And then after that, it was like, I think the only talk I'm trying to find where, because I'll have a.
Yeah, I don't actually know if it was on stream actually, because for anyone who hasn't watched the stuff before, we had a session that was just us, because when we started our group, we weren't planning on streaming the games, we were just planning on playing. It was after the first game that I believe it was Nay said, you know, like, do you guys want to stream it? And we were like, oh yeah, let's do it. So the very first one, there was a fight, because all the beasts in the area went like totally crazy, starting attacking everybody, and you guys jumped in to rescue the townspeople. And then like the second half of the session was you guys kind of like chatting it up and like talking about yourselves and things. So there was a little bit of introduction there, and I think he mentioned and talked about stuff, and I think I just saw him saying that he did a couple of Tormisms during that one.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I have it before we spoke to the Duchess the first time.
Okay, yeah.
So it's in that first session.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like it was. Stor was drinking. It was right at the start, and then like the next day it was Moradin. So like,
was it the next day? Because it was after you guys won in the labyrinth. I'm pretty sure all that stuff went down. So it would have been, I think, 2 nights later or something.
Yeah, 2 nights, but not a huge like. Yeah, 2 nights in the bone zone, and then all of a sudden you forget Torm.
But it's not like he had been talking about Torm all day and all night in those couple of days.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see, especially as Stor learns more about gods and the pantheons, and in his own way, like becomes closer with Cord and learns that. It'll be interesting to see how that affects. It's like these don't match up.
This isn't the same. Oh man, I'm just thinking, because I have specific plans that are coming up that you will probably run into in a couple of weeks, and I'm just like, it is gonna be atrocious, and I love it. It's gonna be amazing.
I'm super excited for Hunting Valhalla. He got away from Stor, and that's the closest I've taken to taking an angry barbarian level.
The best kind of level.
Just because I was angry right then.
I think you guys have all decided to rage, except for Denono. Denono's the only one who's kept a level head. Yeah. Like, everyone else has wanted to rage at some point.
Yeah.
I think I saw one final question. This is one that got asked earlier today that didn't make it into the labeled up questions. This is from Michael, who asked, I guess me, is now a good place to hop into viewing, or should you view from the beginning and try to catch up at some point? I feel like that's a tough one. I mean, to some degree in a D&D campaign, you can always jump right in, right? You can pick up the context, and Aaron says you have to watch all of my painting streams first. All those few hundred hours of me just painting minis.
It's important.
See this shelf over here? You gotta see the process of all of these before you can watch any of the D&D. No, but you know, you can always just jump in. I think because we've had 9 episodes, That is a decent amount. It's not too crazy much, but if it is too much for you, just jump in and start listening. Especially once this Malello arc ends, I think it'll be easier to just kind of jump in and stuff, because I don't know how many through lines there are going to be from this stuff to the after stuff, so I don't know. Some of that is not up to me, some of that is up to you guys as players. I don't really know, but
it'll be I don't know how easily we're gonna let go of the Prince of Beast stuff, because the Demon Lord is very tempting.
Yeah, it is. It's
I think it's the Bone Zone episode where we fight Malello the first time. That's a key episode to watch.
Yeah. I just love it all. I think they're just slowly getting better and better. I'm sorry that the audio quality from this Monday was so bad, because the stuff that happened was just so great.
It was such, like, it started, like, that combat was tense, and then it was nice having, like, it was definitely a more serious moment, so I think going from that to Vigris was great. I'm really excited to see Vigris get on a boat.
He's excited about it.
And
he was very like, oh, I want to see a seahorse. Oh, wonderful.
You know, neither Stor nor Vigris know what a seahorse is, and I feel like they're both going to have their expectations exceeded and missed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be
I'm just hopeful we find one.
It'll be like one of those itty bitty little things, and this like big old horse eye will come up to it like, I don't think this is what we're looking for. Oh, Aaron's
we'll
making
look for
a good
real
point,
seahorses.
Like, the big thing that you don't want to necessarily miss out on if you just jump into the games now is Thorak's duty and Thorak's goal that he got from Torm when he became a warlock. That is a big thing that you don't want to miss out on.
You gotta watch the Bone Zone episode.
You gotta watch the Bone Zone.
I think that's what the episode is too.
Yep, that's called the Bone Zone. We've got a couple of funny ones. Last week was boxes and break-ins, Dungeons and Dragons and Diamonds and Dimes. I don't have a name for the one from Monday night because it hasn't been uploaded yet, but I'm probably gonna hopefully do that tonight.
Horse in the hotel room.
Horse in the hotel room. It's gonna be like the series of unfortunate events, where there's just this alliterative thing every single time. I haven't tried to make them alliterative mostly, but it's hard. It's hard to come up with. Anything else? Any last things? Kitties and horses. I'm on a boat. Oh dear. There's just a lot going on in the chat right now that I'm just like, Aaron's posting stat blocks of giant seahorses.
Wait, there's a giant seahorse stat block?
I don't know. I don't know if he's making it up, but I think a giant seahorse is a thing, because I think it's like a mount for like underwater humanoids and things like that. So
yeah, giant seahorse D&D, and it's D&D Beyond.
Oh man, well then maybe it's gonna happen. Maybe I'm gonna have to Google this up.
It looks like it's pretty similar to a warhorse, just
it's just the
aquatic
version. So you could reconjure Vigris as a giant seahorse, conceivably.
If we have to go underwater, that'd be super helpful for Stor, who is painfully human, as gets pointed out.
Anytime it's dark.
Yeah, anytime. I look in the cell.
You don't
it's
see
pitch
anything.
black.
Pitch black. I play a human in Nick's campaign. It's the same thing where it's like, oh, I gotta turn on the lights. All right, okay.
Oh well, I got that heavy armor. I haven't been reducing damage when I take it.
Oh well, that's your own fault then. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely my fault. But I just totally forgot about it until I'm like, yeah, I'm human. How come I don't have dark? Because I have a feat. What's my feat? I'll try to remember it. I'll write it on like my hand, so when I roll.
Don't forget. All right. Any final questions from the chat before we finish up? Final thoughts from Liam that you have? Any other random questions? I will give you one free DM question. I reserve the right to not answer it, but I'll give you a free DM question. What's your favorite color? What is your quest? What is your favorite color?
I get a free DM question. I'm not looking through my notes for, like, I'm not gonna try to. I mean, my biggest question is, what if we didn't, like, leave the maze that way? Like, if we just walked around the maze, like, we didn't have anyone who could speak to Tycho, would we have, like, encountered more Minotaurs, or was there just the one Minotaur?
There was just the one Minotaur, yeah, just the one.
Okay.
What basically would have happened if you would, like, wander around the maze, I assume you would have eventually found, like, the door, because there's the 4 secret doors.
Mm-hmm.
And there was that other door with, like, the statue of the Minotaur, like, going like this to, like, cover it up. And I think you would have eventually found that, and would have eventually figured out how to open that one, because that one also opens with, like, the teeth bracelets and
stuff. I remember I found it from the other side.
Yeah. So I think that's
when we were on our way out,
eventually figure it out, or you would have, I don't know, maybe tried to get out the sinkhole, which is still there.
If we had the rope of climbing. Rope of
climbing. Yeah. Probably would have been a little bit hard to get out of there because the rope is only 60 feet.
Oh yeah.
Was Tristan the only one who posted the lonely ad? Yes, he was. He was the one. That creepy perv. The only one. That absolute psycho.
That would have been an interesting, like, first little, like, was there a way we could have taken that as, like, our first adventure? Like, no. Yeah. We would have gotten dragged into the Malello. Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the Malello stuff, you kind of had to go and, like, find it. And that stuff was just kind of, like, constantly happening in the background. So you could have walked into that basically any time you wanted. The Tristan stuff kind of as well, because he's just kind of going around and doing that stuff. It is possible that you could have maybe figured it out in time to have Annette never have been kidnapped, because she hadn't been when it first started. But
how long was she missing for?
She was only missing for 3 days? 3 to 4 days. So she wasn't missing when you guys started, but she went missing.
Yeah,
probably the night that you were in the Bone Zone was the night that she got kidnapped.
Yeah. That's so, like, if we had started right after the horn went off. Is it a horn? I still don't know what triggered those animals to go crazy.
I feel like maybe I described it as being a drum, but in reality, it's not. I don't feel like this is spoilers with me saying that it is basically the rituals and things that this cult was doing was waking Baphomet up and causing him to kind of, like, move in his sleep. And so it's kind of the rumblings of the shiftings of a sleeping deity, basically. And so those movements, they're kind of like the shock waves of something immense moving. And that's kind of what it was, sending these shock waves out into the world.
I think we sort of fell in the drum, and because that came, I think, from Stor's religion check. I
don't remember exactly.
Yeah, this is digging deep. I'm asking about a check I made from session 1 or 2.
But yeah, I was interested to see what happened with Tristan, especially because he was he's a pretty charming dude, you know, and he's very good at lying and this sort of thing. And so you guys came in there like very sneakily trying to find information instead of confronting him directly. And if you'd confronted him directly, like he lied to you and he was like, oh, I don't know who this is. But if you had been like, oh, we know she's around, he would have been like, oh yeah, Rosen just likes having pen pals. He's a really lonely guy. His kids don't love it, and like said sob story about Rosen. But the second you would have asked him about that, as long as you weren't like trying to kill him right then, he would have had Rosen make you some tea with that with a drug in it that if you had failed the constitution save, you'd have gone unconscious, and he would have like taken y'all down to the murder basement and everything too. And I was so hoping that was gonna happen, but then you guys were being so sneaky, like sneaky, but sometimes a little obvious. So it never really worked for that to happen.
Yeah, I know like a lot of these puzzles are a lot simpler, but I also like to think like,
oh no, you went out for a second.
That we know that dude has a am I back?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Like from Stor's point of view, yeah, that dude has a butler whose name starts with an R, and that's all we had. So I think just going in like, did you take these women? Is not a waste. Like, yes, we're looking at people's handwriting. This is why we have a note, and we need your writing.
Yeah, and I mean, in reality, I could have pulled the carpet out from under you and just been like, yeah, no, he was just writing her letters, and she just so happened to be abducted by Malello's men that night, just by chance or something. And it would have totally still fit that same thing of just like, Rosen just wanted a pen pal, but nope.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a lot of like immediately like demon worship stuff and a string of missing women. There's probably a correlation was what Star was thinking.
But nope. Just a serial killer, psychopath, sociopath guy. Yeah. Drat. Well, anyway, we had a couple of follows in the last hour. Dread Pear 8 Lemons. Dread Pirate Lemons. That's it. And then Death, Dice, and Dungeons. What's up? Welcome to our crazy party. That is ending now. We're going to say goodnight to everybody. You got your free DM question?
I did. It was useful. I think I got like 2.
I know. I don't spoil things, but I like to talk about the things that are over. So maybe that's spoilers in saying that they are not necessarily going to come back. Although maybe that is me saying that they will, and then it'll be even more of a surprise because I said it was over.
Now I'm just now both Liam and Stor are confused, so it doesn't matter if there were spoilers.
Surprise. But yeah, so thanks for coming in, Liam. We're gonna be wrapping up Rehash for tonight. We'll be back with Rehash the Rolls in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. It's not weekly. It's every other week. You could stick around because I'm gonna be painting swords. But we'll shut down for a second. I don't even know if the stream will stay live or what, but thanks. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.